Hey everyone, how's it going? This is Azrin the Language Nerd here, owner of the Calgary Language Nerds. Today what I would like to do is I'd like to comment on a comment. Somebody left a comment on one of my social media posts, and I would like to comment on this comment. Let me read the comment to you first. She said, "Put away the grammar books, find enjoyable content, and stop studying. The rest will take care of itself." Now, there are many aspects of this comment that I agree with, and there are many aspects that I disagree with. Let's break it down chunk by chunk. Put away the grammar books. I agree. Some people need to hear that. Some people need to hear the message, put away the grammar books. Some people are spending way too much time studying grammar rules and doing grammar exercises. Stop! You're doing too much. Put the books away. Some people need to hear that message. However, where I disagree is I don't think everybody needs to hear that message. That's not what everybody needs to hear. Some people probably need to do a little bit of grammar study. They dislike grammar so much that they don't ever study the grammar, and it's actually slowing them down and making the learning process far less efficient and far less enjoyable. So for some people, they actually need to be told, hey, we got to bring a little bit of grammar study in. I would say, here's how I would phrase it. In my experience of teaching thousands of language learners over the years and having interacted with even more language learners than that over the past 15 years in language classes, meeting different language learners, interacting with people on the internet, blah, blah, blah. When I look at my personal experiences, I think most people can benefit from a certain amount of grammar study. A good analogy is to view grammar study like salt. Salt on food. I've said this before. Listen, if you have a nice bowl of pasta, you're going to want some salt in that bowl of pasta. Some people might want a little bit more salt, some people a little bit less, but basically everyone, most people are going to want some salt because it brings out the flavors. But we can all agree that nobody wants a bowl of salt with a little bit of pasta. That's just silly. Doesn't taste good, it's bad for your health, it's going to kill you. Nobody wants a bowl of salt with a little bit of pasta. It's not good for you. Well, only studying grammar or mostly studying grammar and using that as your vehicle to fluency, for most people, again, for most people, that's not going to be a great option. It's not going to be very effective. But I disagree. I don't think everyone needs to hear the message, put away the grammar books. It implies that we should not be using grammar books. I don't know if I go quite as far as to say that. Next line here. Find enjoyable content and stop studying. The rest will take care of itself. I agree. Find enjoyable content in the target language, of course. In every language I've learned, just personally, experience of one person, I've always found one or multiple pieces of content that speak to me on an emotional level. It could be something that moves me, it could be something that inspires me, it could be who knows what it is, something I just fall in love with. But that's always been something that's helped me learn the language. It makes me want to study, it makes me want to learn, it gives me a reason to learn. I desperately want to understand what they're saying in this video. Or I watch a video, hear a song, watch a movie, whatever it is, and the main character is just so cool and so respectable or inspires me, and they say these things and the words they use get into my mind and I remember them. Finding enjoyable content, that's a big one, I agree. Particularly if you can find things that are at your level. Finding content that you enjoy consuming that's, roughly speaking, at your level, that's an even bigger bonus. Even more. If you know anything about Stephen Krashen's idea of theory of comprehensible input, you know what direction, you kind of know what I'm talking about here. So the enjoyable content, yes, I agree. Where I disagree is where we get into the second half of that statement. Find enjoyable content and stop studying. The rest will take care of itself. That's where I disagree. I think when I read that, what it implies to me is the message, I think, what I pull from that is you're telling people to watch stuff in the target language they enjoy, stop studying, and you'll magically learn the language. And I think for most people, that is bad advice. For most. Not everybody, but for most. It's not going to work for most people in my experience. Some people are not even going to understand what that means. Their DNA, their life experiences, they're not going to know how to act on that. If I told my mom that, my mom wanted to learn Spanish or something, she'd be like, she wouldn't know what to do. It's like if she wouldn't know what to do with it. She would need to go to a class and have something structured that's way too unstructured for her. She wouldn't understand it. She wouldn't know what to do with it. Or some people, I know some people who would go, oh, okay, I guess I'll just watch that show on Netflix in Spanish that I really like, and I'll stop studying and I'll just sort of absorb the language magically. Now, some people, they watch TV and they absorb it, fine, but most people, no, that's not really how it works. That's not what works very well for them. They watch the TV, they throw subtitles on, maybe they don't, maybe they do, maybe they don't. At the end of the day, them watching the TV doesn't make them suddenly fluent over, X number of months or years. No, I don't quite think so. I think maybe a more practical thing to tell someone to do, in my view anyway, and you can disagree if you want to, but in my view, if I'm just speaking to the masses and it's not an individual in front of me and I'm just making this video and who knows who watches this video, probably what I would say is, listen, go spend 50 hours, right? Take a few weeks to do this. Really take some time. And on YouTube, on Google, research different ways that people have different ways to learn languages. You probably want to find reputable sources, meaning look at people that have real credentials, that have researched the field. You probably want to find people like that, where it says, okay, this seems to be really well researched. You probably want to hear some people with their personal experiences too, because there's a lot of value in hearing how Jane from Arkansas, don't know why Jane from Arkansas, but Jane from Arkansas was able to learn Spanish, and hearing her experience, that's also very, very beneficial. So don't discount those. But I think spending 50 hours, something like that, watching YouTube videos, reading blogs, reading actual studies, really just getting a bit of an education about what different people believe about how to learn languages, what seems to have worked for others, what seems to have not worked for others. Get an idea of the landscape. Then pick a learning method that appealed to you. You might say, well, you know what? I've done these 50 hours of research. I'm thinking this is what's going to be good for me. And off you go. And off you go. It's not going to be perfect, meaning you're going to follow whatever methodology you thought works, and it's not going to go perfectly. 7 things are going to go right, 4 things are going to go wrong, and you're going to tweak along the way, right? I think the last thing I'll say, and I'll wrap this up, I've had some people tell me, no, Azrin, but don't you know it's just about comprehensible input. It's just about Dr. Stephen Krashen's work. It's just about that. It's just about his 5 hypotheses. No, it's just that. No, it's not about no, you don't need to go look at all these methods. No, it's just this one that works. No, don't you know? I do get that a fair amount. And my response would be, I've just met too many people who go, well, I've read his work. I've read what he seems to indicate this is what I need to do. I do it and it kind of works and it kind of doesn't. So I had to make these modifications for me. That's what usually happens. People find a method, they try to follow it, it works in certain ways, for some reason it doesn't work in other ways, whether it's a thing of DNA, whether it's that they misimplemented a piece of the strategy, who knows? But then they make their little tweaks along the way, and they end up finding a reasonably personalized method for learning for them. That seems to be what happens with most people I come across anyway. So to recap, this comment, put away the grammar books, find enjoyable content, stop studying, and the rest will take care of itself. I agree with certain elements. I disagree with others, as I said. Ultimately, my take on this, if you're going to give one general piece of advice, do some research about how people learn languages, what seems to have worked in the past for others, what does some of the research say, make your own decision on what appeals to you from there, and adjust along the way. Well, hope this is interesting for you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I'd love to hear in the comments and such what you guys think. Bye-bye.